You can ride a bike every single day, but you might not know how the bike works. So as soon as you talk to a bike mechanic, they might ask you what's wrong with the bike and you might not be able to answer them, yet you ride this thing every single day. And same with a car, same with an airplane, same with a rocket, same with the world. It's time for you to pick up a book. It's time for you to pick up a book. And I'm making this video because I want you to pick up a book. I just watched a video. It's like a self-help kind of video. I didn't search for it. It came up in my feed. But there was a self-help kind of video about talking and being able to talk nonstop. And it got me thinking about how since I started reading again, talking in certain situations and handling certain situations just feels a lot more smoother on the brain. It made me realize that reading comes with confidence, and I'd encourage everyone to do it. When I say reading again, I'd say there was a good 7 years of my life when I didn't read during school and right up into university. And then it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I started picking up books again and reading because, well, I wanted to build a library at the end of the day, and I've started to build that. And, there's pride in that. So that's one reason you guys should pick up a book. If the idea of having a library in your house is pretty cool, so it'd be nice to actually fill it with something, right? Yeah, it got me thinking about how reading comes with confidence and how so many people I know don't read, close to me as well, don't read. And it's because reading is one of those things where you don't realize the power of it until those situations in life or those certain moments happen, and then your brain will dig out the back of your brain and remember certain things and it'll pull it out. And I think it's just necessary for you guys to remember that. I'm going to relate this more towards confidence because, well, it'll get clicks for one, and because that is something that all of us struggle with. And I want to explain how reading comes with confidence because it teaches. To read is to learn, right? So the type of books I read in general, I read all sorts. Recently, they've been very one-sided in terms of being a lot more socially focused, in terms of dealing with relationships, dealing with life, dealing with the way of managing and handling just life admin. And I say that because I just read 7 Habits, and I'm currently reading one on friends and influence. But there's also been times where I've read books on cryptocurrency, for example, or real estate, or even one on literal coaching, like communication and such. Although none of these things are necessarily directly relevant to my life right now, or essential to my life, having the knowledge and going out my way to read it, it puts you in a position where if a certain topic pops up or someone has a question, it just puts you in a position where you can answer it in a lot more better ways with confidence. Now, to be honest, it's not like I'm reading every single hour of my life or every single day for that matter. I mainly only read when I'm commuting somewhere, on the train, maybe on the bus. And I'll make sure I always have my book with me when I'm traveling, just because it's there. And it is a nice alternative option to just doom scrolling through your phone. I'm not someone who uses TikTok and uses Instagram Reels anyway, to be honest. So I guess you could argue that's an advantage in that I'm not going to be spending my time doing that, as in I'll probably be doing something. So if you're someone that finds yourself doing that, it is going to be a little bit more effort for you to switch over and, pick up that book and read that page, read the first page or something. But it's about finding the book for you or that you're interested in. And, it's not like you're going to read one book and all of a sudden you're the most confident guy in the room or something. I'm not saying that by any means. But what I am saying is that if you're going to read on a certain subject or a certain topic, by nature, you're going to start to act or you're going to behave in ways from what the book's teaching, which is why things like the Bible and religious writings are so important for religion. Because whether you're consciously acting it or not, subconsciously or on a level, you will exuberate those learnings and teachings and understandings of certain things and subjects. For example, like when I said I read books on real estate, I am nowhere near getting into my real estate phase yet. And if you asked me about what I learned in that book when I read that about 2 years ago now, I think, I probably can't remember everything, but there are certain things and certain words and certain ideas and just understandings of how a mortgage works that I wouldn't have had if I didn't read those books that I now have, which makes me confident enough to know, okay, when I'm ready to step into that place, I can comfortably. When I'm ready to talk to someone about that, I feel like I can comfortably. When I'm ready to research it, I know what to research, and I know what book to go back to, and I know what book to share as well with friends and family if they had questions about such things. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know about something, the way we usually learn about something is by going on a Google, using AI, or watching a video on it. And sure, yes, we can consume content that way, but going out your way, well, speaking of AI, Gemini, but going out your way to read a whole book again, it's the effort that you're going through. It's the mental action of doing it. It's the switch on It's the active switch of doing it, which makes you consume certain material better, makes you take in information better. And like I said, it will just run through you. It brings a level of humbleness and control. It gives a level of control. Control is so important in situations, especially when you're in a room full of people, because, some people don't have it. And if you can have control and know what to say when, know how much to say when about what, whether to even bother talk about a subject. Like I said, there are subjects I know tons about, which no one would have an idea that I knew about, but I just choose not to speak on it because I'm just aware that they probably don't understand it to the level which I do. Now, it sounded a little bit braggadocious, if that's a word, but it sounded a little bit, show-offy. But it's not that it's show-offy, it's that I'm controlling that. And that that there is situations where I will one day come into conversation with someone who knows more about a certain subject than I. And now I can go to them with questions about that, deep questions about that. And they'll be more than happy to answer and reflect on it because they realize that I have a certain understanding. I know what I'm asking about. There's genuine interest. And you just follow through like that. And that's all based off everything I've pretty much read. And it's not the reading that's taught me to do that. It's the reading that's given me knowledge and opened doors to certain subjects and topics where I can go and speak about certain things. Marketing is one of them for sure. Working in marketing is one thing, because obviously if I'm doing marketing every day, it's like, okay, why would you want to read a book on it? Well, you can ride a bike every single day, but you might not know how the bike works. So as soon as you talk to a bike mechanic, they might ask you what's wrong with the bike and you might not be able to answer them, yet you ride this thing every single day. Same with a car, same with an airplane, same with a rocket, same with the world, same with the governments. So you can see how, the importance of reading at this point. It's like, okay, you can live in this world, you can live in this society, cool. And we all complain about how bad and how wrong society is. Okay, but have you read a book on it? Do you know why it's like this? Have you looked into politics? Have you looked into the past? Have you looked into the history? Have you looked into the future? There's so much to it, and that's why I think it's time for you to pick up a book. Some of the interesting books I've read mainly are about marketing because that's what interests me, so I won't bore you with that. I did read a good one on negotiation, and when you get to the point where you're reading books and these books are referencing books which you've already read, you're on a good path. It makes me warm inside when I read a book and it references an older book that I've already read, and I'm like, oh, I've read that, or you've heard of, and then you start to realize there's this whole not community. Well, I guess it is a community of books in a certain genre or certain area or certain theme. It's that pop culture. The same pop culture you see where if Kim Kardashian does something and everyone knows about it, it's the same thing with books. This book was so impactful. That's why this book's referencing. That's why that book's referencing it. It's the pop culture within books, but it's so much more humble and so much more respectful in that if you're reading it and it's referencing a book, that book's famous, but it hasn't got 1 million followers. It's famous and you've read it, and it's like, okay, cool. Like there's understanding. Because if you read that book and it refers to it, you have understanding of what the author's now saying to you, and it just makes it a lot more personal, a lot more in depth. And again, you're taking it in, and then when you're taking it in, like I said, it allows you to then speak and talk more, etc. Now, in terms of actual communication, like for example, the way I'm speaking in this video, I'd like to think I speak pretty clearly, but for 2 years now, I'd say, or 3 years, I have a secret YouTube channel where every single day, literally every single day, I make a video speaking about a certain subject. I'm not going to go into that. My friends know, my family know about what that is. But basically every single day for a year, for 2-3 years now, I've been making these videos, talking. So my ability to speak and my clearance and my need to explain, translate, and to communicate in general is, I'd say, it's at a nice level because I'm doing it constantly. So it's not like I said, although you might have the confidence, you might not be able to communicate in the best way, and that's going to take practice. And that's going to come from speaking, which ties us back to that original video which I watched, and I will link it in the description, when he speaks about confidence. And his video specifically was about being able to talk nonstop and constantly come up with something to speak about. Now, that's something that's kind of a different worry to myself, or maybe as to why you clicked on this video. But again, reading would cover that, because it's like, wow, if you need something to talk about, I've got a whole lot I can talk about, and a whole lot which I've read, a whole lot of stories as well. A lot of people, there's a lot of situations in life where I will refer to something and I say, oh, I read a book where this, and they mentioned that this happened, X, Y, Z, and I'll be able to tell a story. And it allows people to picture and visualize better, again, allowing them to understand you better and allowing you to communicate. One of the longest books, I think the longest book I read, and one of the most popular books is 48 Laws of Power, which I read. And it's one of those books which are so long and so in-depth and so heavy. I do look at it every now and then. I don't look at it in physical form, but I mean, I'll go online and I'll read back on some pages and such. And it's not because of what it teaches necessarily. And remember, it's not supposed to be taken as a guide, but it's not because of what it teaches. It's because of the stories it has inside. It's just basically that book is just a massive history book. And what I remember is how it made me feel when I read that book, the feeling that it gives. And it's so historically rich. You know, it's very historically rich. It's about emperors and it's about taking over the world, pretty much, literally. So it was, you know, it's about how it makes you feel. And then when I meet someone and they say, "Oh, have you read 48 Laws of Power?" Or I'm asking them, "Have you read 48 Laws of Power?" Because I know how hard and how heavy going that book is, and to finish it, you know, you got to have a certain wit about you. I don't care what anyone says. And again, it's that understanding, and that there again is why you won't hear me talk about 48 Laws of Power, because there's no point. Because again, that book was more of an emotional experience for me than anything. So for me to just talk about it and say, "Oh, 48 Laws of Power said this and that and this," sure, I can pull out some stories from it, but no one will understand it unless they've read it, because like I said, to read it is to feel it, so to speak. I don't know if I'm going off subject here. I don't want this video to be too long, but that was just some food for thought. I just want to encourage you all to read, pick up a book. Please ignore my hair, it's a bit of a mess right now, and subscribe for more. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.